Hello and welcome to my channel. Uh, this video is the first in my Stephen King book series, and this one I'm going to review Stephen King's first novel, Carrie. The blurb on the back of the book says, Carrie White is no ordinary girl. Carrie White has a gift, the gift of telekinesis. To be invited to prom night by Tommy Ross is a dream come true for Carrie, the first step towards social acceptance by her high school colleagues. But events will take a decidedly macabre turn on that horrifying and endless night, as she is forced to exercise her terrible gift on the town that mocks and loathes her. Carrie was published in 1974 and was King's first published novel, though he had had a number of short stories published in what he calls girly magazines throughout the 60s and 70s. Although the book is written in 1974, it is set in 1979, a few years later, with that being the main narration of the story, with excerpts from books and newspaper clippings about what happened at prom night and the subsequent White Commission, which was brought in to get to the root of what happened on that fateful night and why. Though this is an adequate way to tell the story, the progressive narrative interspersed with the excerpts from the books written afterwards and the newspaper clippings, it does reveal certain key plot points quite far away in advance to them actually happening in the story narrative. There are certain key deaths in the book that are pre-revealed before they actually happen, and so when the story comes to that point, you already know if the person's going to live and die, and there's no real suspense as far as that is concerned. Probably the most famous scene from Carrie is the opening scene of when Carrie is in the shower after gym class, and she has her first period. Because of her strict religious upbringing, she doesn't know what's happening to her, and she's terrified. And a group of girls, led by their ringleader, Chris Hargensen, torment her by calling her names and throwing tampons and sanitary towels at her, and all this brings about Carrie's powers. The situation of stress building up inside her, and it's manifest in the overhead light exploding in the showers. In the book, during the first kind of introductions to Carrie, really she's described as like fat and spotty, and kind of seen as not really attractive. Though this later changes in the book to being called, when she goes to the prom, being called beautiful. But I think that this perception of her is more due to how she dresses. At the beginning of the book, very described quite very dowdy, and really doesn't help that with her lack of confidence, she kind of shies herself away from things. So she probably looks bigger than what she is, and she looks plainer than what she is because she doesn't have that confidence to shine out of her, to show her true inner self that she does show during the prom, beginning of the prom scenes. Once Tommy Ross has picked her up and takes her to the prom, and her classmates marvel at how she looks, and particularly how good her dress is, and they are surprised when she tells them that she made the dress herself. I feel that Carrie's ill perception of herself stems mainly from the actions of her mother, Margaret White. Margaret is a religious fanatic with a very warped understanding of Christianity and the Bible. Basically, everything's a sin, and sin is all a woman's fault, mainly Eve's fault. This is a idea that I do not subscribe to in the slightest, and it does kind of annoy me the way that she, Margaret that is, spouts off these things at Carrie, either complete portions of scripture or things that aren't in the Bible at all. On previous readings of Carrie, I've really hated Margaret for the way she exercises her religious beliefs and the way she treats Carrie. However, through this reading, this latest reading through it, I've noticed that Margaret might have a serious mental health disorder. There are certain things that she does, as well as the most notable religious reactions, most notably causing physical harm to herself when Carrie stands up to her. This is possibly a type of schizophrenia manifesting as a religious mania, rather than she's fully competent on what she's doing, and she's fully understanding of religious tenets that she's supposed to be espousing. Another character I want to talk about in this book is the other main antagonist, along with Margaret, is Christine Hargensen, the stereotypical popular girl, queen bee type, that basically leads the hate onto Carrie. Because her dad is a lawyer, she thinks she can do whatever she wants, and she won't be punished for it because she'll say, well, my dad will sue you, my dad's a lawyer, and therefore can get away with it. When Christine's father goes and sees the principal at their school, the principal's got a thick file of all the things that Christine has done over the years, in a similar vein, not just to Carrie but to other girls, and in some cases the actions have been actually worse, causing physical injuries to her victims. It also seems from a reading of the book that Christine is you call a stereotypical beautiful girl. Boys and her own age and some older just flock around her, falling after her, wanting her attention, Um, but also with that, Christine shows us signs of uh, sexual passiveness or even mundaneness. Um, she basically gives the guys what they want, which is to have sex with her, but she just lies there, lets them get on with it, and really just basically can take it or leave it. She's not in it really for the sex, she's in it for what she can get out of these guys. And they're just happy to take what they can because she is um, so beautiful. And their sexual naivety is that they um, basically allow her to basically wrap them around her little finger. All that is a in stark contrast to the relationship she has with Billy Nolan in the book. Um, I think she considered the fact that she's as attractive as she is, and he was basically kind of like, it seems like a greaser, portrayed by John Travolta in the Sissy Spacek version of the film, of the book. Um, their relationship is quite different. He's not really enamoured with her beauty, and as such, he's not there to just be happy to take whatever she gives him. He takes what he wants from her, and he's not intimidated by her in the slightest, and even verbally and physically abuses her. And she still is, um, though for moments she thinks, she's going to stand up for herself. She doesn't, and she basically comes um, back to him and doesn't leave him. Even though Billy Nolan does the things that she asks him to do, most notably getting pig's blood for the prom night prank. He doesn't care about her, Christine, in the slightest, and he wouldn't care if she was the one under the pig's blood or not. And he even tells her that. And though she kind of reacts with a little bit of shock when he tells her this, instead of distancing herself from him, she does the exact opposite. And after the prank is pulled, they go back to a room over a bar and have sex. The book itself is short, particularly for a Stephen King book, but I really enjoy reading this book, and I read it pretty much every year. It was the first book I ever read cover to cover in one go. There's only been a handful of books I've ever been able to do that. Usually if I'm reading I get tired quite easily, so I kind of, though I'd want to read for longer, I have to close my eyes for a bit, and sometimes books take a bit longer for me to get through than I would like. But it's a very enjoyable book. It's not a book that if you read would get an understanding of Stephen King's writing style, but it is a good place to start. If you've never read Stephen King, I would recommend to go from Carrie and go through his works rather than picking and choosing bits. Certain books that are really good, like The Shining, The Stand, It, things like that. If you've never read Stephen King before, those can be a bit of a chore, especially if you're kind of a new reader. But Carrie is easy to get through. It's kind of bite size, and it'll give you bit of a flavour for Stephen King's style. Won't bombard you with Stephen Kingisms, which we'll probably see more of as I go through my Stephen King collection. So those are a few of my thoughts on the book Carrie. I rated it on Goodreads 5 stars out of 5. That may be more due to the nostalgia of rereading the book over and over again, and it being the first book I ever read through. So what do you think of Carrie? Have you read it? If you have, or you have any thoughts whatsoever, please put them in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, remember to hit the like button and to subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next one.